Hey, what's up, family? It's me, Devontae Goins with Ken Plus and welcomehomeken.com. And let's just say now when we go live, finally, got a fly coming around. But let's just say I was supposed to be what? I have to go to work tomorrow. I was supposed to be chatting with y'all about an hour earlier to break everything going on with the Our City, Our Say initiative, and if it's for Black Columbus and what it means for Black Columbus and all of that. Then, as I was like ready to hit the go live button, the system went completely down. I had to run, grab my laptop, and do a whole bunch of other stuff. But look, I'm finally here and glad to be back, like live, chatting with everybody. So do me a favor and drop in the chat right now where everybody is tuning in live from and what area. I am going to drop this out to a few people really quickly so we can begin to have this convo right now. Boom, boom. Because this is a conversation that we do need to be having together here. So here, I just dropped that out to a couple people. So let's just start off at the top tonight because I've been talking to a few people today and doing a lot of research and trying to catch up on this. But tonight in this conversation, what I want to do and what I hope comes across in our conversation tonight is that we understand what the Our City, Our Say initiative is truly all about. We aren't going to get into all the ins and outs of it. I'm going to tell y'all that right now, family, kinfolk. I'm going to tell y'all that right now because it's really a lot. And one of the main things is right now is that the Our City, Our Say folks is a small group of people from around the city that got together and wanted to put this ballot initiative back on the ballot. We know the first time it was on the ballot was back in 2017, 2018, around in that time. And then that is what produced what we have now. District hybrid election, where meaning that anybody can vote for anybody in any district because all the district city council members are technically at-large council members. Confusing. It wasn't a true, what we call in modern day political terms, a true ward system. So now, there's a lot of different Facebook chatter going on with the community today. And one post that was put up today, here, if I could share the screen here, was by a gentleman that we all know by the name of Will Klatt. And he is, in his post he put up today, he was speaking on behalf of himself, but he is an area commissioner out of Clintonville. And when I spoke with Will Klatt, he told me earlier via messenger that the post he put out on Facebook that is circulating around, that he is not part of the steering committee. I know there was some confusion on whether he was or whatnot. He's not even a part of the Our City, Our Say ballot initiative, but he was making an argument in his post for making a compromise and accepting the deal that not that Council President Shannon Hart and Council President Pro Tem Rob Dorans have put forward. That's what he was making an argument for in his post. And I'm going to get into it in just a second, but let's talk about this original proposal, because this is what I have confirmed right here, is that what the original proposal was made up is 9 seats for 9 district elections, where it's a true ward system, meaning if you live in District 1, you can only vote for the candidate of District 1. Or to make it more relevant, last year, District 7, we had a special election where now Councilmember Tierra Ross ran against Jesse Vogel. And I mean, I'm just going to put it to you quite frank. That election came down to black versus white. Not even going to lie. But only District 7 folks should have voted in that. And if District 7 voters, people who lived in the Near East Side, if they were the only voters who were voting, Jesse technically would have won. But because it was a large election, Tierra won. And so that's what they're trying to change, so that doesn't repeat again, because Jesse won the district, but he didn't win the election because he didn't win the city. Because in our current setup, you have to not only you have to win the city. It doesn't matter if you win the district. And I, not to get off track here, but I remember back in a couple of years ago when this first went into effect, I believe it was 2024. It was either 24 or 23. I remember having a conversation with some folks on the team, and the people who were some of the folks who were running, and I kept saying, like, look, it was 2024 election night, and I was talking to Jonathan Beard, who's been one of the architects of this ballot initiative, and this is the third time this ballot initiative has been put forward. And Jonathan, he was on, and I'll pull the clip and I'll play it for you tomorrow. And Jonathan, in that conversation, I remember asking him, what happens if someone wins? Particularly, it was because the only contested race at that time was for between Adrian Hood, and also she was running against Emmanuel Rainey. We all know Emmanuel won, but there was a period in time during the night where Adrian was leading. And I said, all right, so if Adrian is leading while chatting with Jonathan, and he was breaking it down, I was like, so if she's leading, what if she wins the district but doesn't win at large? What does that mean? And at that time, nobody could really tell us, because what we interpreted the charter to mean didn't really mean what the charter said. Basically, Emmanuel won, not just because he won the district, but because he won at large. And all he had to do was win at large, not win the district. So you could lose your district, which we just saw happen in this last election cycle, like I just was talking about, between Jesse and Tierra. We saw Tierra won citywide, but the district went to Jesse primarily. And so that's how we get to where we are right now with the Our City, Our Say, because folks were like legitimately like pissed off about that, because they were literally, truly, that was a contested election. I'm not even gonna lie. That was more the type of election I've been begging for years. Like, a lot of people were involved, and a lot of money was raised, not just from boots on the ground, but outside money, and all of that came in. And so it was really interesting. But now, what this initiative also is going to do, one of the main things is it's going to expand council from currently having 9 council seats to 13. So they're going to add an additional 4. And so the other posts floating around today is with Joe Motil. And we everyone knows Joe Motil. He's run for city council a couple times, and he's run for state rep, and he's also run for mayor a couple times. He most recently ran in this last mayoral race against the current mayor we got. And so Joe put up and tried to break it down and explain all of this in his posts. And so essentially, what Joe broke down, if I could say here, is what he tried to explain is that the model that they used back in 2018 to get what we have now basically was that every voter would directly elect one neighborhood representative, or this is not, I missaid that, I'm sorry, for how what our city, our say is trying to do in layman terms, how Joe is explaining it right now in his Facebook post is that every voter would elect one neighborhood representative, and then in the 4 seats that they're adding to council, they would be citywide races, meaning anybody from all over the city would be able to elect 4 council members that are at large. And then because we already have 9 districts, those current 9 district council members would represent their district. So a lot like how the state houses ran. In the state house, if you live in District 1, you can only vote for District 1 state of representative, who is currently State Rep Dontavius Jaros. And so on and so on for all of the variety of seats out there. But what the state house doesn't have here in Ohio is any at-large seats, not just the House of Representatives, but the Senate doesn't have that either. And so this is what's being talked about, reportedly being added for these 13 seats. So 9 seats would be a majority of council. That's meaningful, but 4 seats would be preserved for essentially citywide elections. Now, the other piece going around where there is some confusion at is this. There's a deal that was struck. And in the reported deal, I did reach out to City Council today to see if I could talk with President Harton or President Rob Dorans. And given that tonight was National Night Out and it was already 3:30, I was able to talk with the director of their communications office, and I'm slipping on his name. And we are going to chat tomorrow because when I was chatting with him, I emailed over like 15 questions because I wanted to understand like who was truly at the table, not just at this steering committee meeting that took place tonight, where because I didn't attend the meeting tonight, I don't know the outcome of it. Like who is involved within council and how is council approaching this deal structure other than the language that's out there. So a ton of questions. Like one question, for example, I put to him is legislation already drafted? When or is council going to hold an emergency council meeting for this? Has there been an agreement already found? Is there going to be a compromise or intended for another election to happen? And then there's a couple different things, dates being thrown around out there right now. In Joe's posts, he says the coalition has until August 24th. But when I went to the Board of Election for Franklin County's website, they say local ballot issues have to be certified by tomorrow, which is August 5th. And Ohio law requires that the certification be done not just by tomorrow, but by 4 p.m. tomorrow. But not just by 4 p.m. tomorrow, but it says that it must be done 90 days before the election. That's what Ohio law says, that the certification must happen. And so, while there's some date discrepancies going on, and I'm hoping that I can get to the bottom of it and further reporting and investigating, that's something that we also have to figure out. And I don't know if that bothers you or whatnot, but it definitely bothers me that we're putting out one date, but the law says something else. If we can't agree on something as simple as a date, how are we ever going to get to what we truly want of some sort? I'm not saying I like the agreement that's been or the compromise or suggestion that's been put out there for in the 9+4 deal. We have 4 at large and 9 district races. I'm not saying I like that, but like in everything that we do, hell, and we see this fucking in Washington right now. The reason why we can't get shit done right now is because people, even in our own state house down on Broad and High, are willing to work across party lines and come to a compromise. You aren't going to agree on everything. Hell, I don't agree with everything, but if we can meet in the middle and I could keep my soul at the end of the day, that's what will happen. And that's what needs to happen, is a compromise. What?
Mom thinks she heard.
All right, I'm coming. Shut the door. All right, and so now, with all of that, there's also a money thing that I'll get into a little bit later, because Joe in his posts, he also talked about campaign finance reporting and the receipts, and the city currently says that the current financial contribution limit that you can make to any campaign is $16,615.67. That is what the local municipality campaign contribution limit is. But Joe's reporting that the deal that is being proposed is saying that the new limit would be, the proposed limit would be $7,749. So that's literally cutting that beyond in half. So we have to figure out what the actual number is. But even with figuring out what the actual number is, or whatever the formula is, that and how they came up with their number, I want y'all to know it that doesn't reconcile currently. What's that face value with what the city is currently, and what is currently in the city charter for what the limit is. I know we all want to get money out of politics. We all do. But, and not just money out of politics, we want to get big money out of it, and corporate dollars and corporate interests out of politics. Because we all know how the Columbus partnership and all of that is funded, and all of that. Not going to even get into that. And that's part of why we are trying to get this down realistically. And what Joe is saying, that in the proposed deal of this ballot initiative, is the new proposed limit is $7,749 that any one individual can donate any candidate or campaign. So there's going to be more to come on that tomorrow, because I'm really intrigued and want to know how they came up with that amount, because it's not just them cutting it in half. But what I will say is this, and this is probably my strongest argument that I could come up with for, or not argument, but the strongest case I can make for why we should accept and be and vote yes for our city, our say ballot initiative, is because, look, there would be 9 genuine districts, and we would have one direct representative where we could go knock on their personal home door and have a conversation with them about what's going on in our block, what's going on in our neighborhood. And they would know and have to be responsible because they live there. Now, what district candidates would also need fewer signatures, because, you know, if you're running for state rep, you only need 50 signatures. Now, it's recommended that you get 150, 3 times more, but you only need 50 signatures. There was a time when you ran for city council and you needed 1,500 signatures, I do believe. And then when the hybrid district system went into effect in 2024, 2023, during that time and during that election cycle for council, it went down to needing only 500, I do believe, because for the mayor you needed 1,000, but 3 times more. So there's that. And like I said, 9 district seats without number, whatever 4 people were stacked against the deck, who would be the at-large members? 9 is greater than 4. It just is, y'all. But the coalition could spin, theoretically, the next cycle if we do agree, if there was an agreement made and accepted in tonight's meeting. The coalition could spend, theoretically, this whole entire next cycle, getting a group of candidates together, making sure they understand the rules of engagement for how to not just run an election, but how to be an elected official. Because it's not enough for one to just say, hey, I want to be a city council member. Do you even understand what, number one, what city council does and what they're responsible for and things like that? Not only that, what I think, and both may be against me, is that if you are going to run for city council or serve on city council, you should serve on an area commission first. Now, that may be an unpopular opinion now, but I'm just saying, I think we should have to serve and understand what and how an area commission works, because if you understand how the area commission works, especially with us trying to attempt to move into true district ward representative systems, then with that, if you understand how an area commission works, you understand the individualities of how several neighborhoods work. And in your district, you got to imagine that you'll probably have 20 to 25 different neighborhoods, and different neighborhoods and different blocks have different interests. Neighbors have different interests and needs and wants. And you don't get to learn that and understand that. Here, let me give you an example. For example, we all know we have housing problems right now. Most of us should know that the zoning committee and the current zoning chair, who is Council President Pro Tem Rob Dorans, I do believe, currently is saying, and we all know this, we need housing, 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 housing. And none of us wants apartments. I do understand that. We don't want any more apartments going up in our areas, especially where there are already only single family homes. But there's only one thing we could do right now, Ken folks, and that is build up. And one of the reasons why we can only build up is not just because of the space, but also because of poor city planning 20, 30, 40 years ago. Because we are on the verge of hitting that 1 million residents. I'm just saying. That's another reason why we need housing, and why it's important that you understand the rules of engagement, and why one should probably sit on an area commission before they think about running for council. But sorry about getting off on that tangent right there. But look, I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there right now, because it's math currently on city council. Council is probably the most diverse currently than it has ever been in the history of the Columbus City Council. But there are only 4 Black council members. There's only 4 Blacks. So with that, that gives us the opportunity, because hell, we all know, if you live, let's take District 7, for example. It was a toss-up because of redlining and gentrification and everything going on last cycle. And we saw Jesse Vogel, who's an attorney, a white guy, and Tierra Ross, whose grandfather has a church, a very predominantly Black church, and one of the largest Black churches probably in that area, and most well known in the city as well. The area, District 7, was historically Black. But what I kept making an argument of last year during that race is, at the end of the day, this comes down, that race came down to race, to the color of one's skin. Now, you could argue with me all day and say it didn't, but when you went into that ballot box, it was whether you Central Ohio residents were going to vote for a Black woman to replace a Black woman's seat, or were they going to vote for a white man to replace a Black woman's seat? I'm just saying, were they going to vote for Jesse to replace now County Prosecutor Shayla Faber? Or, like what happened and what turned out, Tierra Ross was elected a Black woman to replace a Black woman. So it came down to race. So if we have, and my final reason why, in case I can make for accepting this, is these 4 citywide seats would give more Black people an opportunity to be on there. And things wouldn't come down to that factor. Because if you live out south, chances are you're not going to be electing a Black person. I'm just saying, or way out west. But I need to progress, because this isn't not nothing, y'all. It's truly not nothing. And I don't want people to be dismissive about 9 district seats just being cosmetic. Now, before we wrap up here, because I got to go, because I know it's going on 11 here. I want to play devil's advocate and make a case against this, if I can, and be transparent on the issue. If I was making a case against this, and I'm looking for my notes I have here. If I was going to make a case against this, I would say, why? Nothing really changed. We had to make compromise. We wanted a true ward, a district representative led system. And we aren't getting that. We're having to make a compromise, just like there was a compromise that had to be made the time before that, back in 2018. Why do we have to continue to make compromise? It's time for a change, and we see the movement happening, the change movement tonight all across in about 5 different big American states. Our neighboring state up north, Michigan, they had an election primary going on tonight, and they have Democratic Socialist candidates on the ballot. That's just a fancy word for saying very progressive. People, I know Democrats are scared of the big socialist word, and a lot of folks are for good, not for good reason, but because they don't understand what the word means. But while people may not understand what the word means, they understand Zoran Mandani, who was and is a Democratic Socialist candidate. He ran against several other establishment Democratic candidates, and New York voted for him. That New York City voted for a change to happen. And a change happened. So that's one reason and one counter argument for why not go for this, because we aren't truly getting true change. Not my idea, but hey, that it just is what it is. But there is let me add one more thing to that, because a lot of this initiative is like we talked about earlier, about financing and money and politics and things like that. City-wide races will remain more expensive. I'm just saying. If we vote against this or go against this initiative, the map process isn't clear. And it might be confusing. That may be one reason that we should be against this. And probably the biggest reason is that the coalition may surrender its strongest piece of leverage to council's promises and making them become binding. But I got news for y'all. A movement can win 9 seats on paper and still leave the institutional machinery untouched. Now, before I bring this home for a close, let me put this down as my granddaddy would say, where the goats can get it. When we talk about the most important thing, especially as it remains to me and remains for Ken Plus and our outlet. What does this mean for Black Central Ohioans? What does this mean for Black Columbus? What does this mean for Black power? Now, I'm just saying, we all know that representation, it always asks us who is sitting in the chair and in the seat at any given time. And pre-2018, there was a super majority of Black people, of Black folks, running city council, running the city. Hell, post-2016, we had a Black mayor who was the longest serving mayor. Whether I agree with him or not, Black mayor. Now that I told you, I'm making the Black power connection right now and connecting the dots. Currently, right now in Franklin County, whether we agree with their actions or not, we have more Black leaders in the county offices as not just directors, but also running the county than at any moment. But I do want y'all to know that when we are talking about power, especially Black power, what we are asking is who can elect these folks? Who can remove them? Who can fund them when it comes to money? Who can fund their opponents and make them to deliver? Because right now, and I don't believe this has currently been discussed in that ballot initiative, but we see it happen all the time. And Joe has termed and coined the term political musical chairs when it comes to the current Democratic Party and how they maneuver seats. How when Councilwoman Shayla Favors maneuvered and moved over to the county prosecutor's office, when she done that, everybody's campaign who war chest, who is currently council members, donated and gave X amount of dollars to her. And they just maneuver all the money around behind the scene. Musical chairs. And so when they want to get their candidate in, they move the money. That's what power is. Who controls the purse strings? So will Black Columbus still be able to control the purse strings? Now, when Columbus had a majority Black-led council, when the NAACP Legal Defense Fund got involved back in 2018, they raised a big red flag and a big question and concern. And I don't know if, and you all tell me in the chat, because I have chat up right here on the side of y'all can see. And I just hit a button, don't know what I hit. But I can still see chat on my end. They raised a question, raised a concern about the city of Columbus having an at-large election system. They raised that question, and we didn't do a damn thing about it. We didn't really push and stand with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund when they raised that question back in 2018. Now, that's the historic connection. Now let me bring this in for Central Ohio landing. Black Columbus, one thing I know about us, Black Columbus has always demonstrated or attempted to demonstrate citywide political strength. Whether it lived under an appointment system, whether we agree with that appointment system either or not, whether the party slate card that we absolutely have a love-hate relationship, and as a Democrat, if you aren't on that party slate card as an endorsed candidate, you will lose. Because, again, money in politics. The donor networks that can produce office holders without giving Black neighborhoods direct control. Now, what I will say is this. We do not protect Black political power by refusing to study the map and learn the rules of engagement. What happens and what we do is we protected by measuring what black voters can actually control under this new structure that we're talking about. So I often say we're playing chess, not checkers. And folk are always trying to play checkers, especially when it comes to politics. We are always trying to play political checkers. And why? Because politics is all about chess, studying and knowing the move your opponent, or as we're taught in the Art of War by Sun Tzu, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, especially in politics. If we aren't a move or two ahead of them, in our mind at least, knowing that if we do this, this will be the outcome, and they'll do X, Y, move 1, 2, 3. Like, come on. We don't understand the rules of engagement. We need to study it more. Now, I'm coming in, and I'm truly going to end this now, because tomorrow I have a lot of questions and conversations that I'm going to be having, and hopefully we'll be able to have sit down with Council President Shannon Harton. Also, we'll hopefully be able to sit down with Council President Rob Dorns, or either one of them. I'd love to sit down with both of them. We're working on making it happen, as I said. I haven't heard back from our city, our say. I reached out to them with a list of questions, and their communications team hasn't gotten back with me. So I want to hear their side, and I want them to come on and have a conversation. So I'm going to make that happen, or attempt to make that happen tomorrow or in the coming days. And so the axe is really at the end of the day. And what I'm trying to get to the bottom of and covering, and really what all of us really want at the end of the day when it comes to this story is true transparency. None of that was done in the dark will come to light, because we already know that is going to happen. But we want transparency and light going into the deal, so we can educate ourselves and we can know and understand the rules of engagement, so then we can play a better game of chess when this comes to fruition in 2030. So what I have a few questions, and what I'm going to be trying to figure out tomorrow, and I'm just going to be blunt with y'all because I wrote them down. The first question I want to know is negotiated these terms. Who authorized them? Who was at the table? Who voted in tonight's meeting? What authority did this body have at this meeting? Who gave these people that authority? What is going to be the final charter language available? Will the vote tally of how the vote went down tonight be released? Because it should be a matter of public record, one would think. And also, will we all, and when I say we, I'm talking about all Columbus residents who are eligible to vote, have the opportunity, and this is including the 23,000 petition signers, to see this deal that was made tonight. But then I think the most important question I have, and I don't know if y'all have it, but I know I have it, is what happens if council does not perform? What happens if we get fucked on the deal? What happens? Because you can't invoke. One thing I've learned in politics and being in journalism, running a black news outlet, running one of the only black news outlets, and the few news outlets in the country for these last several years, is that you cannot invoke grassroots democracy. And I'm not talking about democracy with a capital D. I'm talking about grassroots democracy with a lowercase d. Boots on the ground, building house by house, neighbor by neighbor, block by block, and from block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, and from neighborhood by neighborhood, city by city. You can't invoke and come to capital D democracy without having lowercase grassroots D democracy while gathering signatures and then try and invoke an internal process when deciding what each of those folks who decided to put their name on the dotted line will get as a return on their investment of the purchase. I'm just saying. But what I do know is that the coalition used the petition and they played within the board, the chessboard we've been talking about, exactly as it should be used. They built leverage. They forced council to offer. So we're hearing, I haven't confirmed it, 9 true district seats and avoid a costly fight against City Hall and the Democratic Party, because we know our Democratic Party here. And it's a political machine. That's another conversation, a story for another day. The rebuttal to that argument, if that's the counter argument, would be, while that may be the correct strategic calculation, if you would, that the coalition made, the movement does not prove discipline at all by accepting an undocumented offer under a disputed deadline, because we talked about, and I reported earlier, that there is, whether anyone wants to talk about it, big discrepancies. There's big discrepancies about this deadline, about what the county board election says versus what the state constitution says and the state law says versus what we are being told by people who are in the room and close to these conversations. It proves its discipline by converting its leverage into a binding language, measurable protections, and a public enforcement mechanism. So the question is not whether compromise, y'all, is allowed. The question is whether the concession is secured before the leverage ever disappears. So that's all there is tonight, y'all. That's all there is. But I do want to know, to everybody out there right now watching, would you accept the 9 genuine districts if 4 at-large seats were added to this, or should we only accept the 9 district only proposal that should go before Columbus voters? That's the question. And I wouldn't be a true journalist if I didn't have a reporter, if I didn't have a follow-up. What would you need in writing, my thought would be, before accepting the compromise 9+4, as we'll call it. Yeah, I'm going to get off here. Remember, we cannot do this without your help and your support. So you can catch our latest reporting on all of this and so much more, because we did some reporting and did an hour-long interview and conversation and chat with the director of neighborhoods, Kim Douglas. We sat down with her and chatted, and that interview is up on the YouTube page and our website at welcomehomekin.com. Go there, become a member. You can become a member for $12.99 a month. That's $130 a year. Or if you want to become a founding partner with us, that is $500 a year. But Black media, independent media, we need your true support. All of the stuff we do and give out, and it's all free. Nothing is sitting behind a paywall. And our members are what make it possible. So we're cheaper than the Columbus Dispatch subscription. I'm just saying. We're cheaper than the Columbus Dispatch subscription. $12.99. Go over to welcomehomekin.com. I'm your boy Devontae, saying peace out, goodbye. I love y'all. We'll be back tomorrow with more reporting, and welcome home, Ken.